Yeah, but so there's still, I mean, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Like, I mean, everything is still active even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued like we talked about prior to.
Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get!
It's one of the biggest scandals to rock the entertainment world in years, and every day, it feels like there's a new twist. Sean Diddy Combs, once a towering figure in the music and business world, is now at the center of relentless rumors about witness manipulation and accusations of using extreme measures to protect himself. But could it really be true? Could one of the most successful moguls in history be orchestrating a campaign of intimidation and fear from behind bars? Let's break it down.
It's just incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but, we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty. When you have this much...
The whispers started not long after Diddy found himself locked up in New York City last September. Facing allegations that have already upended his career, Diddy's legal troubles seemed insurmountable. But then details began to emerge that painted an even darker picture. It wasn't just about the accusations against him. It was about his alleged attempts to silence those who might testify. Rumors are swirling that Diddy has been pulling strings from his jail cell, using whatever influence he has left to ensure his side of the story is the only one that gets told.
I can do anything.
One of the most shocking claims is that he's been using the resources available to him in prison, unauthorized phone calls, secret notes, and even other inmates to reach witnesses and, in some cases, intimidate them. According to court filings, Diddy has allegedly been trying to contact key individuals involved in his case by using a series of covert methods. Prosecutors claim he's been paying other inmates to use their phone privileges, allowing him to make calls to people not on his approved contact list. And it doesn't stop there. He's also accused of arranging three-way calls, where someone on his contact list connects him to others he's not supposed to be speaking with. These allegations are jaw-dropping. To think that a man who once dominated the music industry could now be relying on prison inmates to do his bidding is almost surreal. Yet, according to prosecutors, the evidence is piling up. They claim Diddy's actions show a relentless effort to interfere with the legal process. And the big question is, why? What is he so desperate to hide?
But it will be up to the jury. And there's really another piece of this case, and that's the racketeering case. And they don't really talk about that. Diddy's attorneys, Sean Combs' attorneys, they stay away from the racketeering part of this. They are focused solely on the trafficking part of this case.
So, one of the most talked about incidents involves notes allegedly seized from Diddy's jail cell. These notes, according to reports, included instructions for his family members to dig up dirt on his accusers. Imagine that Diddy sitting in a prison cell, penning detailed instructions on how to find damaging information about the very people accusing him. Prosecutors say this is just another example of his attempts to manipulate the narrative and protect himself at all costs. But Diddy's legal team has pushed back hard, claiming the notes are being taken out of context and were part of private communications with his attorneys. Still, the idea of a man in his position resorting to such measures only adds fuel to the fire.
I mean, it's a legitimate concern. No judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day. Oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes. And sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. Years ago, it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
And then there's the matter of his alleged intimidation tactics. Prosecutors claim Diddy has been using his family to reach out to potential witnesses, pressuring them to stay quiet or change their stories. They've even accused him of using his influence to create narratives that could sway public opinion and, potentially, jurors. One example that's been widely discussed is a social media campaign orchestrated around his birthday in November. Reports suggest that Diddy instructed his children to post celebratory videos portraying him as a loving father and family man. While this might seem innocent enough on the surface, prosecutors argue it was a calculated move designed to garner sympathy and create doubt about the allegations against him. But it's not just social media campaigns and secret notes that have people talking. There are also claims that Diddy has been directly intimidating witnesses. According to some reports, individuals have received threats or been offered money to stay silent. Others have allegedly been followed or harassed, all in an effort to stop them from testifying. These tactics, if true, paint a chilling picture of a man who will stop at nothing to protect his legacy. What's even more alarming is the suggestion that Diddy's influence extends far beyond the prison walls. Rumors have surfaced that he's been coordinating with people on the outside to carry out his plans. Whether it's family members, former employees, or even other celebrities, the idea is that Diddy has a network of loyalists willing to do whatever it takes to shield him from the consequences of his actions. This kind of loyalty, coupled with the resources he still has at his disposal, makes the allegations against him all the more believable.
Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do documentaries and TV hits.
Take, for instance, the claims of financial incentives. Prosecutors allege that Diddy has been using his considerable wealth to bribe witnesses and others involved in the case. This isn't just about money changing hands. It's about power and control. By offering large sums, Diddy allegedly ensures that people either stay quiet or say what he wants them to say. And for those who refuse, that's where the intimidation comes in. It's a dangerous game, and one that, if proven, could have severe consequences for everyone involved. But perhaps the most shocking rumors involve allegations that Diddy has gone even further in his attempts to silence witnesses. There's been talk, unconfirmed, but widely circulated, that he's hired people to eliminate key individuals who could testify against him. While these claims are purely speculative at this point, they point to the level of fear and suspicion surrounding Diddy's case. Could someone as high profile as Diddy really be involved in such extreme measures? It's hard to say, but the very fact that these rumors exist speaks volumes about how far his reputation has fallen.
It's just interesting to me that with all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone.
What's clear is that the accusations against Diddy are not just about what he's done in the past, but about what he's allegedly doing right now. From his jail cell in Brooklyn, he's being painted as a man who is desperate to maintain control, even as his world crumbles around him. And while his legal team continues to deny these claims, the evidence seems to be mounting. Whether it's the unauthorized phone calls, the seized notes, or the social media campaigns, each piece of the puzzle adds to the picture of a man fighting to protect his empire at any cost. And yet, for all the talk of intimidation and manipulation, there's still a sense that this is just the beginning. The allegations against Diddy are so numerous and so complex that it's hard to know where the truth ends and the rumors begin. But one thing is certain, the spotlight is on him and the world is watching. Whether he's guilty or not, the fallout from his accusations will be felt for years to come. As the case against Diddy continues to unfold, one can't help but wonder how it all came to this. How did a man who once stood at the pinnacle of success find himself in such a precarious position? And perhaps more importantly, what does this mean for the people who have come forward with their stories? Are they finally being heard, or are they just pawns in a larger game of power and control? This is where the story transitions to a deeper look at Diddy's history, a history that might hold the key to understanding how he ended up here. Because, as shocking as these current allegations are, they're not entirely out of character for a man who has been surrounded by controversy for most of his life. But to truly understand the scope of what's happening now, we need to go back to where it all began. The roots of Diddy's empire and the seeds of his downfall lie in the past, and that's where we're headed next.
He was when I was 3 years old. I don't have a lot of memories of my father. They say, you can't miss something you never had. So that's only a little ways right, There's definitely been times as I've gotten older that I've missed my father.
The story of Sean Diddy Combs is a roller coaster, one that started with grit, determination, and the rise of an empire, but now it's unraveling into a web of accusations, scandals, and alleged crimes. To understand how Diddy ended up where he is today, we need to rewind and trace the patterns of his life, the moments that defined him, the choices that shaped him, and the controversies that have haunted him for decades. Because if you look closely, the clues to his downfall have always been there, hiding in plain sight. Diddy's rise to fame wasn't just about music, it was about power. Born in Mount Vernon, New York, Sean Combs didn't grow up with the silver spoon many assumed he had. His father's untimely demise left his mother working tirelessly to support him and his sister. But even in those early years, Diddy had an unshakable drive. He wasn't content with just surviving. He wanted to dominate. He did. By the time he launched Bad Boy Records in 1993, Diddy was already making waves in the music industry. He had an eye for talent and a relentless work ethic that turned artists like the notorious B.I.G. into legends. But success came at a price. Behind the glitz and glamour, there were always whispers, stories of how Diddy wasn't afraid to step on toes to get ahead. In the early days of Bad Boy Records, it was rumored that Diddy used intimidation tactics to secure deals, ensuring his artists got the spotlight while competitors were left in the dust. Some claimed he had ties to individuals who weren't exactly playing by the rules, using their influence to protect his interests. Whether true or not, these rumors painted a picture of a man who would do whatever it took to stay on top. Then came the incident that would forever change his career, the tragic passing of the notorious B.I.G. in 1997. While the world mourned one of hip-hop's greatest talents, questions swirled about what really happened and who might have been involved. Diddy, as Biggie's close friend and manager, found himself at the center of speculation. Theories ranged from rivalries within the music industry to more sinister motives. And while no concrete evidence ever tied Diddy to the tragedy, the shadow it cast over his career was undeniable.
We are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
Even as Diddy continued to climb the ladder of success, controversies followed him like a dark cloud. In 2003, his clothing brand Sean John faced allegations of labor violations in Honduras. Workers claimed they were subjected to harsh conditions, including invasive searches and unfair treatment. To his credit, Diddy publicly addressed the issue, promising reforms and improvements. But by then, the damage to his reputation had been done. For many, it was yet another example of how Diddy's empire wasn't as polished as it seemed. Fast forward a few years, and Diddy was making headlines again. This time for legal troubles that ranged from nightclub altercations to accusations of shady business practices. One of the most infamous incidents occurred in 1999 when Diddy and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez were involved in a high-profile nightclub shooting in Manhattan. Although Diddy was acquitted of all charges, the trial was a media circus that put his personal life under a microscope. It was around this time that people began to question whether Diddy's success was built on more than just talent and hard work. Was there a darker side to the man behind the music?
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens. And maybe this new judge has a broader view and says, you know what?
As the years went on, Diddy's public persona became increasingly polarizing. On one hand, he was celebrated as a visionary, a man who turned himself into a brand and inspired a generation of entrepreneurs. On the other hand, he was criticized for his aggressive tactics and the way he handled those around him. Former employees and collaborators have described him as controlling, even manipulative, claiming that he used his power to bend people to his will. And while many dismissed these stories as sour grapes, they added to the growing narrative of Diddy as a man who thrived on control and dominance.
Well, first of all, I can only imagine how sloppy Sean Combs was with evidence when he got busted with those 2 machine guns or 3 machine guns with the altered serial numbers. So I really don't trust Sean Combs or the people around him's ability to properly cover up anything. So I envision that you're going to see a trial, payments from his Amex for flights for people, straight payments directly from his company to people.
Perhaps the most telling sign of Diddy's complex personality was his relationship with his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. The two dated on and off for over a decade, and while their relationship was often portrayed as glamorous and loving, insiders paint a very different picture. Rumors of controlling behavior, public arguments, and behind-the-scenes drama were rampant. And when Cassie filed a lawsuit in 2023 accusing Diddy of years of mistreatment, the world was finally forced to confront the idea that the man who had built a billion-dollar empire might not be the hero everyone thought he was.
And then the time frame is important because this happened in hotels, in places that have surveillance, that there's records that could be consistent with his testimony about when he alleges that these parties took place. He probably has his own information about who attended the events. When you're somebody like Sean Combs and you're such a celebrity and you're engaged in this type of behavior, people around you are memorializing it.
But what's most striking about Diddy's story is how these patterns of behavior seem to have escalated over time. Early on, the controversies were relatively minor: business disputes, personal conflicts, and the occasional tabloid scandal. But as the stakes got higher, so did the accusations. By the time the FBI raided his properties in 2024, Diddy's reputation was already hanging by a thread. The sheer number of allegations against him, ranging from financial misconduct to intimidation, makes it clear that this isn't just about 1 or 2 bad decisions. This is a pattern, one that has been building for years. Take, for example, the claims of witness tampering. This isn't the first time Diddy has been accused of trying to manipulate people to protect himself. In the past, there have been allegations that he used his connections to silence critics and control the narrative around his controversies. Whether it was through financial incentives, legal threats, or outright intimidation, Diddy has always found a way to maintain his image. But now, it seems, those tactics are finally catching up with him.
This is somebody that actually thought that he was above the law. So I can only, think that, he was sloppy in the way that he did these crimes, that there's probably a trail of evidence, not only involving him, but everybody in his circle that he would, delegate these responsibilities to.
And it's not just his personal life that's under scrutiny. Diddy's business dealings have also raised eyebrows over the years. From the questionable practices at Sean John to allegations of unfair treatment of artists at Bad Boy Records, there's a long history of people accusing Diddy of putting his own interests above everyone else's. Some former collaborators have even suggested that Diddy's drive for success came at the expense of those around him, describing him as someone who saw people as tools to be used and discarded.
They're going to try everything. They're going to try to transfer him. They're going to try to get him out. In a normal case where it's a high-profile person or a well-funded person, the prosecution and the judge is a little bit more concerned about a wrongful prosecution, because people that are mad that they're being arrested for a crime they didn't commit can turn around and file for malicious prosecution.
All of this begs the question: how much of Diddy's empire was built on genuine talent and hard work, and how much was built on fear and manipulation? It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer, but it's one that more and more people are asking as the allegations against him continue to pile up. And while Diddy's defenders argue that he's simply a victim of his own success, a man who's been targeted because of his wealth and influence, it's hard to ignore the sheer volume of accusations. What's perhaps most tragic about Diddy's story is how far he's fallen from where he started. There was a time when he was seen as a symbol of hope and perseverance, a man who overcame adversity to achieve greatness. But now, that image has been overshadowed by claims of wrongdoing that paint him as someone who used his power for all the wrong reasons. And while it's too soon to say what the future holds for Diddy, one thing is clear: the legacy he spent decades building is now on the brink of collapse.
I feel like we're almost becoming numb to the lawsuit after the lawsuit after the lawsuit. And do all of the allegations against Combs so far that we've seen make the claims here, these new claims, do you think it makes it more or less?
As we look back on Diddy's rise and fall, it's impossible not to wonder what could have been. Could he have achieved the same level of success without the controversies and scandals? Or were those things always part of the package, a byproduct of his relentless ambition? It's a question that may never be fully answered, but it's one that will undoubtedly shape how Diddy is remembered in the years to come. For now, all eyes are on the ongoing legal battles and the revelations that continue to emerge. Whether Diddy is ultimately found guilty or innocent, the damage to his reputation has already been done. And as more people come forward with their stories, it's becoming increasingly clear that the man who once seemed untouchable is now facing the fight of his life. But as we've seen time and time again, Diddy is not one to back down. So the question remains: how far is he willing to go to protect what's left of his empire? And more importantly, how far are others willing to go to bring the truth to light? The answers to these questions will determine the final chapter of Sean Diddy Combs' story.
Every jail is bad, and some jails are worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail.
As the saga of Sean Diddy Combs continues to unfold, viewers are left with more questions than answers. Could the mogul's alleged tactics of intimidation and manipulation be just the tip of the iceberg? And if so, what does this mean for the future of his empire and the people caught in the crossfire? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Let us know. Do you believe Diddy is capable of such extreme measures, or is there more to the story than meets the eye? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this developing story. Until next time, stay tuned.